Okay, welcome back, guys. All right. In the last videos, we have actually talked a lot about classes, and when we look at what we have right now, there's something I want to mention here. When we look at what we have right now, we are actually expecting the user from this our user class, the way we have written it, we are expecting the user to actually, whoever will be using this class, to actually provide first name and the pin. We made it required, okay? And we also created a constructor. Now, this is not compulsory, all right? The constructor is not compulsory, all right? I can choose to delete it, or I can just comment it out, okay? So I would also need to take this guy out and this so that they don't, then I can give a default value, okay? I can give a default value, all right? And I can just say this is an empty string, all right? So what we are doing here is what we call default values for the properties of our classes and having no constructor. Okay, sorry, this is also a string, okay? So now, right now, we are creating default values for our properties, okay, with no constructor, all right? So with no constructor, and if I come back here, all right, maybe I should just create a new class to demonstrate this and leave this other one the way it is, okay? All right, so let me create a new class called still with the ATM machine example. Let's do accounts. Okay, let me create a class called accounts. Okay, so this will not be, sorry about that. So this will not be the user's account, okay? So account can have account number, which is account numbers are always numbers, but we can just say they are string, okay? We can just say they are strings, okay? So account number, and I'll give it a default value of an empty string, and account balance will be double because it can have decimal. So double account balance is equal to 0.0. Okay, these are default values. Now, if you look at this account class right now, it has default values. Okay, default values. Let me make a comment here. Properties of fields with default values. Okay, now this is very, very valid. Okay, in the other user class, we created and made it compulsory that they have to provide, and we also gave a constructor. But right now, we don't have a constructor, and we gave default values. Although this will not be as useful as the user class, but this is also valid. So in case you have any need for it, and what I can now do here is that I can create this account variable. I call it account, and I would use because that will give me a default constructor. All right, I didn't create any constructor here, but I'm still using the constructor over here, just like the way I used constructor for the user, but now it is an empty constructor. Okay, now another thing I also want to point out is that for other programming languages, they will use the new keyword. It's also valid in that, but it is optional. All right, I don't need to. It is optional and it works very well. All right, and this is amazing. So I can now say, if I now want to assign this particular account object, if I now want to assign or reassign, because I've given it a default value already, if I want to reassign the value, I can now say account dot account number is equal to whatever I can give here. and this is valid. I can also say account balance is equal to whatever I can give here. All right. Okay, so this is valid, very, very valid. Okay, now if I print, they would print out, of course, you already know this. Okay, if I print this account balance, it will print out, to definitely print out, and that is okay. All right, it printed out. Okay, so now one other thing I would also want to talk about, in case you do not understand whatever I said here, drop your comment in the comment section. And don't forget to like, subscribe. All right. If you have gone this far, you should be liking the video. If you don't like the video, you shouldn't even be here. And if you're here, like the videos, comment, share your experience, subscribe to the channel so that you can be getting updates. Okay. So now, if I want to I'm just printing the account balance and I'm getting 23 point now, which is expected. But what if I just want to print the account itself? What happens? Look at what it will give me. It says instance of account. Remember, okay, remember that we have an account class, which is the blueprint. And right now, this particular account we have here is an instance, it's an object, it's an instance of the account class. So that is what it's giving us here. It's telling us here, okay, this is an instance of the account class. If this was the user that I used here, it would tell us instance of user. Okay. Now, but the thing is this, you might want to have a more presentable message in case somebody wants to print this account. That is where you will now use every class, every object in that has a method called toString. What it means is that it converts the object to a string and it will have a string representation. Now, so if you want to create a more presentable message for this particular class, what would you do? You will come here and override. Don't worry, when we get to talking about inheritance, okay, you're going to understand better. But for now, if I want to, the thing is this, every class is inheriting, although I don't want to confuse you with inheritance now, but just get it. This account class is inheriting from the object class. All right, we'll talk about that when we get to inheritance. We'll list all these, we'll talk about everything in details. But for now, understand that with inheritance, since this account class is inheriting from the object class, that means if I inherit something from my father, that means I also own that thing, I also have it. So one of the methods that this account inherits from the parent class, which is the object class, is the toString method. And since I do not like this toString presentation, I can create my own. I can give this my class its own toString method. But before you do that, you need to use this override. Okay. Now you need to write this override on top of the method. So you cannot do the toString. You see, once I type I'm getting IntelliSense, and I can just hit enter and I will get it. Okay, so here it's telling me to write my implementation. So I can just write my implementation. I can just do this. Okay, I will need to return. All right, so I need to return a string because the toString expects a string to be returned. So what do? I can just create my own string here, and you can do anything. I can say this account has an account number of, remember our string interpolation, and I will give this account number, and has a balance of if you do not understand what I'm doing here, that means you need to go back to one of the videos that we talked about string and string interpolation. Okay, so let me explain further what I did here. Right now, like you already know, I am trying to give, okay, first of all, let me run this code. All right, now that I have created my own version of the toString method, all right, I can, if I come back here to print this same account, you remember when we printed it, and this is what it gave us. But if I now come here to print it, now this is what you will get. Let's see what we get here. Okay, let me run this code. Let's see what we get here. If I run this code, you can see now, this account has an account number of this and has a balance of this. Okay, so now let me explain further. What did I do? What did I do here? Okay, the thing is this, you already know that I was trying to give a better representation of this account class, okay, in case somebody prints it out, all right? And with the toString, I told you that this toString method is inherited from the parent class, which is the object, okay? Now, don't bother, we'll talk about inheritance later, okay? Now, I am actually writing my own version of it. So just understand it that way, grab it that way. While we go on, you're going to understand better. And I also want to mention this annotation, okay? I want to mention this override that you see here. This is called an annotation. It is an annotation, okay? All right. Now, it is optional. I can remove it. But it is not advisable to remove it because the compiler needs it. It's giving the compiler some information that, oh, this toString method is being overridden, okay? In case you do not, now, this method has, remember we talked about method signature, and when we talked about functions, we talked about function signature. Now, in case I make a mistake and I do not have the same signature, because since I want to override the toString method of the parent class, it must have the same signature. Okay, so in case I don't have the same signature, all right, this is what it's telling me. Okay, I can just do something else here. I can just do something else here and just to, the body might complete normally, causing not to be returned. Okay, so this toString method is actually the compiler knows that this toString method is from the parent class. So it understands that it must return something. It must return a string. And I'm trying, and right now I'm not returning anything. So it is giving me a warning. So that compiler knows well that this toString is coming from the parent class, and it has its own signature. And right now I am not giving it the right signature, so it's giving me a warning. That is the more reason why we should always use the annotation. Okay, it will help you to reduce errors. Just get it that way. In case you don't understand now, no problem. I wouldn't want to confuse you more. Just make sure that whenever you want to override a method that is coming from the parent class, when I say override, it means that the parent class has the particular method already, and you want to create your own, just like we are creating the toString method here. Our parent class, which is the object class, already have it. Okay, so, and we are trying to create our own. So you have to tell the compiler that this is going to be an overriding method. Okay, so that is it. Now, I have mentioned that always use it. Okay, so another thing I also want to mention before I end this class is that if you see right now, this thing we did here is called instantiation. Okay, it is called instantiation. Or we are creating an instance of the class account, and when we instantiate, we are creating an object, and the object we have right now is the account object. So this line of code is called object instantiation. Okay, and that is it. The next thing I also want to mention here is that you can see that in the same file we are having the main method and these classes. It is fine, okay, but you can also move them into other files, into their own respective files and import them. So even if I put this thing under below the main function, it will run fine. If I also put it above the main function, it would also go fine. It will also be fine. It will not, there will not be any problem. Okay, so if I position it here, there will be no problem. Okay. Okay, so you can have your classes in the same file with the main method, but it's when we start writing bigger programs, we'll of course put them in their different files and we can import them where we want to use them. Okay, so it is okay if you get confused. Don't beat yourself too much. Grab as much as you can grab. Share your experience in the comment section. All right, if you like this video, like it. If you guys don't like this video, there's no need for me to continue. Okay, that means it's a waste of time. That means I'm not good at what I'm doing. But if you like it, share, drop your experience in the comment section. If you have any question, drop in the comment section and I will get back to you. Subscribe if you've not subscribed, and like and share. All right, thank you very much. I will see you in the next class.